Howdy, everybody. So I was killed by a vampire last week, which means, according to my ear, nose, and throat doc, I now am a vampire, which is great, because now if we have any further vampire canon questions, I'm just the authority. For example, turns out the name of this game is actually pronounced Vampyr.
Wait, hang on. I didn't think this through. You weren't killed by a vampire. You tripped and fell over.
I like the idea that he did get killed by a vampire, and he is totally breaking all the Masquerade rules, and all of the other vampires are going to come gunning for him now.
Oh shit, I haven't checked my mail since I became a vampire. Fuck, hang on.
So...
Do not reveal the existence... Oh, fuck.
Hey, Rutskarn.
Which tree did you go with when you were rebuilt? Like, how did you allocate your skill points, Rutskarn?
They had an additional tree, which was making novelty popcorns to complete your holiday party experience. And they said, don't take that one. Not a lot of people take it. I took that one.
That seems reasonable.
An excellent choice.
Rutskarn,
Yes.
Would people in 1918 refer to something fancy as, and I quote, the Ritz?
Off the top of my head, I don't see why not.
Okay. I just don't... When did that enter the vernacular?
I thought Put It on the Ritz was like a song in the 20s.
Well, they're comparing the hotel or the
song
hospital.
in the 20s were a little early.
They're comparing it directly to the hospital, directly to the Ritz Hotel itself. So it's not like putting it on the Ritz, like making all ritzy and fancy. This is literally comparing the hospital stay to the Ritz Hotel.
The Ritz Hotel opened up 8 years before, so it's probably a little too.
Okay.
I mean, it might be a little too early, unless it was like a big splash in the social scene. But this would not stand out to me as a linguistic mistreatment, as many phrases have in this game thus far. That's the one thing. We talked about how, like, Don't Nod considered various settings for this game, and one of them was, like, 1950s America or something, and then they decided to set it to, like, a gothier sort of London vibe. Well, wait, did we talk about that, or did I just read it while I was trying to research for this episode?
I don't believe we talked about that.
Okay, well, that happened. All of that thing I just said is true. See, my tenure as the resident vampire is paying off. And I have to say that while I agree that, like, Victorian London might be a, like, slightly better and also just less fraught time period in terms of, like, you know, how you deal with NPC interactions, like, the way characters talk in this game would feel a lot more appropriate in a more modern setting and a more American setting.
Good lord, do I love the stickiness of this fucking cursor.
Just go downstairs and talk to them. Jesus Christ.
I also got to listen to you guys have a conversation about how people in Europe label floors.
Yep, apparently they do it wrong.
Yes. Did you guys ever read that tweet, like, listening to a podcast where people are trying to remember a trivia fact you know is the closest we can get to being a ghost?
That sounds familiar.
No? What?
Well,
sounds relatable.
That thing I just said is that okay? There it is. There it was. So look at all this blood.
Finally, you've returned, Doctor. Did you find anything?
Is this how you see the world?
Yes, nurse.
You've worked your first miracle,
no.
Doctor. Now, this patient
No,
here needs immediate
it's not how I
treatment.
see the world, unfortunately, and that's because
That sucks.
I haven't actually gotten
I'll show you
hungry
how to mix the
at
remedy
all.
yourself with the same basic ingredients.
It might be vampire.
I was thinking, like, maybe
breath.
instead you saw people as,
When you
like,
finished, you ought to
popcorn
report to
kernels.
Dr. Swansea in his office. He's
Oh
been
no! It
looking
turns
for
out
you.
I can't even
Seems
taste that. It
pressing.
was a real fucking ripoff.
Oh.
Yeah, they did say that not being hungry for the flesh of people is a huge sign of vampire depression.
When you're feeling better.
If you lose your appetite for the lifeblood, the coursing ichor, the mana that runs through all souls, then yeah, apparently that might mean that, you know, you need to get out and see
I'm
some
Dr.
friends.
Jonathan Reed. How can I help your son?
I'm Beatrice Goswick, mother of Mortimer Goswick.
So if I were to become a vampire, should I pick like macaroni pictures, or should I pick like teeth necklaces as my specialty tree?
I would say
Gingerbread
just,
houses.
I'd say just treat yourself and go with murdering.
Josh sure did.
Reception here. Any complaints?
I have
Yeah.
had the uttermost reservations.
I love
No,
that
Josh-
lady's hat.
We arrived, but we had no.
That is a nice hat.
Considering the state of emergency,
Is there
She
something
did the
in
embroidery
particular?
herself, no
some of the
doubt.
staff were not especially welcoming. I suspect they're not accustomed to dealing with patients of such.
She's
status.
got kind of an upper class accent.
Tell me more about your arrival at the Pembroke Hospital. What gave you such a bad?
What, did I just use some magic
The
vampire
ambulance driver
power
was
there? Was
No, you-
for a start.
No.
And that nurse, Miss Hawkins, seems
Well,
to have
okay, that's interesting because
Got a
that was
hint,
definitely
you-
what I got from that.
She managed
Oh.
to
Yeah,
secure a
like,
bed for my
what,
son
or-
despite the epidemic. It was a relief.
That was very dramatic.
Cheap.
do we just sometimes like get really cool effects when we do conversations? Like, oh yeah, awesome. Now we're gonna talk about your arrival at the.
You're really fucking giving it to Beatrice Goswick, both barrels, pedal to the metal, all
Yes.
gas, no
And I
brakes.
paid without question, considering the urgency of the situation.
But this isn't
I
America.
share
You
your
don't pay for.
concerns,
Oh, actually,
Goswick.
the NHS
Be
doesn't
sure
exist
that
at this
I'll
point,
talk
does
to
it?
the people involved.
I don't expect compensation, Dr. Reed. But I'm aware such behavior would not be tolerated in other hospitals.
What can you tell me about yourself, Mrs. Goswick?
I do
Not much
appreciate
to
how
say.
this game has changed gears from
Take care
like
of my Mortimer and I'll
hatchet,
cover all the
machete
expenses.
slaughter
That's all
to
that matters.
hospital politics.
Honestly, I would be much happier if this game was all hospital politics and no
Oh,
hatchet
sure.
machete
Yeah.
slaughter.
Are you really?
I mean, we're depending on how long we stay here talking to all these people, we may be headed into another machete
Yes.
slaughter thing eventually.
Thanks to my husband. May he rest in peace.
Wait,
I
like
can
one of them
cover
attacks
any
with a machete?
medical expenses.
No, so eventually we're gonna have to go talk
If you
back,
have enough
go back and talk to
I'm a teacher by
Swansea,
profession.
and he's gonna finally let us talk to that mysterious lady from the opening week of the show, and that's gonna be where we sort of start the plot proper.
Good, good. I was just thinking that like it's definitely feeling like this game is in the kind of intractable tutorial phase, and whenever I see or
Good
play a
evening.
game from
I'm Dr.
like
Reed.
the last
Can I
10
help
or
at all?
15
No,
years,
really?
Oh, it's Harry Potter.
Why are you here?
I always get this kind of uneasy feeling in my gut where it's like,
I
does this
suppose
game
that
feel
this
like it hasn't
pain
really
is
gotten
the
started
reason
yet
why
because it's building up to
Is
like
someone taking
when it
care?
actually opens up into the
Yes.
main game and it's trained me in all of its systems laboriously?
least tell
Or
me
is this
your
just what it
names?
feels like the entire time?
Mortimer Goswick.
You guys know what I mean?
Do you need any help?
I'm afraid I may, sir. I don't mean to be a burden.
Yes.
So this is the guy we need to treat
You are
for
not a burden,
fatigue.
sir.
Okay.
Healing.
And it'll
Thought
make his
so,
blood
but
go
it
up.
kind of
You have my
it
gratitude.
didn't like it kind of implied that maybe that was just over and she'd taken the treatment and given it to them herself. So
How painful is your throat?
Okay, so this is our way of getting to know his blood quality.
Do you need any help?
Thank you, Dr. Reed, but you've done
Oops.
enough already. The rest
I
is up to me
interrupted a
now.
conversation to ask if he needs a checkup.
How painful
Hang on.
is your throat, Mr. Goswick?
So painful, I'd rather not talk at all, Doctor.
Well, it's too bad.
I
You've
like-
got
I
a
like-
Sure you realize
It
that
hurts
bunch
him to
of
talk.
conversation options.
Would it help
You're
if I
gonna
gave
walk
you
through
some paper?
every single
I
branch.
see. Then maybe it's not just your throat that hurts, Mr. Goswick. Perhaps your sore throat is
Perhaps
just
it's
the
not just your throat,
consequence
Mr.
of
Goswick.
something
Perhaps you're just a
more
little
pervasive.
sourpuss.
Yes, maybe. But I don't want to talk or even write about it now.
Why did your mother have you hospitalized here? She seems
I mean, this is
convinced
pretty,
this
like-
is a bad hospital.
My mother just wants the best for me.
Just like the spooky echo when you asked him that question. It was so
I'd love to
funny.
get Helen back to help me.
It is the wrong
rather
representation for what you're doing, because I don't believe
As a
that's a vampire
doctor, I
power.
cannot
That it's because we had a
speak
hint,
for
right? We talked to the mom. The
That's
mom
true.
complained about the hospitalization, and we got hints that we
You
could
have
use
no
to
idea
unlock
what
conversations
she's capable
with
of.
him.
She would tie herself to my
Maybe
bed.
we dual classed as a Jedi.
Yeah, it needs an intriguing chord, like the LA Noir
But rest
correct
assured, you're
guess
in good hands.
noise.
Not me. You have to convince Dr. Reed.
But it's not even like that, because that's at least like a guess in a game where you can lose. This is just straight up like, it's just exploration. You need to talk to all the people to get the clues, to go talk to the other people to unlock the conversations.
I'll let you
It
get some
feels
rest,
like
then.
asking questions based on previous information just gives us a killing rush. Like you
Maybe
can just
that's
see your doctor's
how
pupils
you
dilate.
explain not feeding on anyone if you go that route. Is like, oh, you get all your vampire rush by talking to people
So,
and finding
Jock.
out things they don't want you to know.
So speaking of
Chris.
finding out things about people, do you want to continue down the path of killing vampires and werewolves and shit, or do you want to do more
No.
hospital conversation drama?
I mean, I would like to do the main plot, but I'd also like to avoid doing the main plot if it means that I'm constantly doing fucking combat.
Well, for a while, we still have a little while. Go talk to Swansea, and then there's still some conversations we have to have before we leave for combat zones. So
Yeah, we're probably not going
Is
to
he
100% all
He
of
is.
the side content in this game.
oh no, we absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, it
won't,
is an
because that'll
RPG,
take,
so
like,
probably not.
yeah, it. We looked at the time to beat, and it's like 16 hours if you just mainline the story, and it's like 40 hours if you try to do everything.
Please, Jonathan, come in.
I feel like we should just... That skull looks a little large
Fascinating,
compared to
is it
his
not?
head.
It was a giant.
Last
Also,
decade,
Swansea
so
has a small head.
mysteries have been brought to light with our microscopes. The human body. Biology's penultimate.
Pretty sure we had
frontier.
skulls before we had
The
microscopes.
more we explore its boundaries, the
Are you
less we're able to
kissing
trace
that
a clear
skull?
line
Wait a minute.
between life and death.
Do you want me to come back later?
Oh,
You,
notably, I
my
can't
friend,
change the
have a
camera
foot in
angle in
both
this
countries.
conversation.
Of
You
course,
being
they want you to
litigious,
really
It's at
focus on
least
this
as
part.
vertiginous as chatting about vampires with you, I would say.
I like this character.
This is
though.
like some LA Noir stuff. You gotta really
This
pay
area of
attention to
town,
him.
The hospital, a brand new
Yeah.
life. How stimulating
Watch his
it
real
must be.
face. Watch
I
that
would
real
share
face,
your
just swimming with
enthusiasm, Dr.
detail.
Swansea, but my condition defies scientific categorization.
But yeah, I like this guy.
Undead? Unalive?
No, Swansea's great.
Mortality
He's a cool
defies
character.
Logic.
I
Well,
cannot
you weren't
express
kidding about
my
how much
thrill at this
smaller his head is.
serendipitous
What the
turn
fuck?
of events. The world's most eminent specialist in blood transfusions, a vampire. One might say a gift from heaven.
I think part of that is that Dr. Reed has just a really big beard, which helps make his head look
Yeah.
huge.
I would actually say that Edgar
Flashbacks
Swansea's
to
dialogue
Deus
is
Ex
reasonably
Human
convincing,
Revolution.
like a reasonably convincing evocation of the time period as well, unlike, like a few incidental NPCs that come around.
How do we feel about being a vampire?
I didn't ask for it. I would live in
guess that's
Paradox.
this one?
Feels about right.
There is
I
an
was just
absurd
joking.
poetry to my situation. Physician, heal thyself.
Forgive me. I've been an admirer of
See,
your
this feels
work
like
for a long
banter,
time,
This
and
feels like the
now
kind of
you're
thing,
so
like,
much
yeah, you're
more
really
than
kind
a
of
brilliant
rubbing
physician.
shoulders.
And please,
Oh, he just
call me
apologized, so maybe not. I don't know.
There is no need to apologize, Edgar.
Okay, Eddie,
You
no
offered
need
me
to apologize.
sanctuary when I had none.
Very well. I have a task for you, Jonathan. Something that will require all your newfound skills.
Please, go on.
The Pembroke only survives through the generosity of our benefactors.
Wouldn't it be great if this task was like
Unfortunately, our main donor found
100%
herself in a bit of a bind.
mundane?
Now, if
Like,
you
I left
could
my
help her
keys on the
out-
top floor, but the lift's broken.
A
Can you climb the
spokesman.
walls?
Politician.
Climb the walls like a spider, you
That's
freak
not
half
my
man, and retrieve them from the
There's
penthouse?
approximately 10 rats living in the basement that I need you to go kill.
Everything is in order, Jonathan.
My roommate is such an
Recently received
asshole.
rather indelicate correspondence that, if revealed, would jeopardize her position.
And you would like me to eradicate this threat?
By the stole, of course not. I would just like you to pay her a visit. Her ladyship is certainly
Yeah, let's
near
start
the Thames
murdering
outside,
people for the
tending
hospital.
sick. You can't miss her.
I'm wondering when we're going to start murdering people. In all honesty, I am amazed we haven't killed anybody yet.
Accepted. I'll see what kind of
Did you
trouble
miss
the
all those
Ashleys-
random people we murdered earlier?
No, those aren't people. Those are
Or
like
that,
skulls.
that bit about the sister that got totally murdered?
That's not a gameplay choice.
But then we've only had 2 encounters.
Yeah, but like if you find somebody that has a mesmerized
only had
power
one.
of, if you find somebody with a mesmerized power of 1 and can lead them out somewhere private, you can eat them.
Mr. Fiddick.
Thoreau, Strickland, Waverly Ackroyd. These are some names. Capital M names.
Dr. Thurlow Strilland and Harvey Thickdick.
So Dr. Strickland is apparently a little bit unorthodox.
Well, I mean...
So, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, please.
I was going to say that's one of the things that are going on right here is there. Before we leave, we don't have to do it right now, but before we leave, we could talk to these doctors because there's a patient that's sick, and one of the doctors wants to perform a very, very traditional operation that probably won't save him and might make him lose his limb, but it is safer and the more traditional way to do it. The other wants to try an experimental new procedure that is totally out there, but could save his limbs, and we can make decisions there if we want to go down that road.
It's nice that it gave me a quest marker to find this person.
My dear wife, Emily, I take comfort knowing we'll soon be together again.
Mr. Rainfield, that's no way to talk. You're in good hands here, and we'll be up again soon enough.
That didn't sound like a good sigh.
No, just this is just not
I'll be
great.
back round later.
Your words are kind, the blessings of an angel. You're the sweet, sweet lady of
Why?
I mean, his dialogue is a bit overwrought, but...
Good evening,
True.
Dr. Reed.
Also, he has no
Pleasure
pillow.
to see you again.
Oh,
You
well,
seem
She's
surprised.
staring off into the
Dr. Swansea
distance.
has brought me up
What-
to speed concerning your recent...
she's looking at you,
No,
Josh.
my head's over
You
here.
seem surprised.
Yeah, stop
You
staring at the
surprised?
camera. Come on.
The lady
Oh,
who
that's
saved
the other
me.
thing. The vampires can see the cameras
vanishing
behind
into
us
thin air.
that are being piloted by
I remember
gamers
it from
hundreds
the
of
pub
years in the
with Dr.
future.
Swansea.
Indeed. Allow me to introduce myself formally this time. My name is Lady Ashbury. I remember you well, in spite of the brevity of our encounter.
So it seems our Dr. Swansea does indeed
I feel
have a
played!
fascination for creatures of our constitution.
Oh, I already went with the other
Dr.
one.
Swansea is
I know, it just seems like such a
remarkable
weird,
man,
like,
dedicated,
squawking,
say,
inappropriate thing to say.
obstinate. He spent years compiling our best.
Just
theories.
play
Like,
Reed
dedicate
is
with
just
yourself
the
with a
most
bit of composure, man.
incredulous person.
Now.
You must have countless questions, but our rather urgent matter first. Swansea has explained. My cover, if you prefer, has been compromised.
So, Josh, I would beseech you to invest in claws, because part of, I think, what made the fight last week so difficult was the decision to do splodies.
I mean, I was also, like, kind of sick at the time, so...
Have any of the patients given you trouble?
These poor souls have so little left to live for. I do my best to ease their pain.
Okay, so she eats them. I don't doubt.
I gather
Why
you have
for
found
doubt?
An arrangement satisfying both
I don't believe you.
ethical and corporal concerns.
I was brought up not to snigger at my own jokes, Dr. Reed.
Well, then you were brought up wrong.
Pardon my boldness, Your Ladyship, but I have questions concerning this condition we share.
As a newborn, your hunger for
Didn't she
answers
just
is
say
rivaled only by
No
your
questions,
thirst for
questions
blood.
later?
But the questions need
Yes.
wait.
I'm a scientist. My trade is in the deciphering of mysteries,
Yep, and there she
I
goes
need
again.
information to feed my mind.
I will gladly answer every question you have, but first, prove yourself capable of resolving my predicament without eating the culprit.
I mean, we haven't eaten anyone yet.
I don't really like how that exchange was like 6 lines back and forth just to get around back to here.
It is overwritten. The whole game is overwritten.
I've made a first payment, but the blackmailer
That's
was
actually one of
greedy.
the things that I find most
I must
difficult in the
refuse
game.
his most recent demands.
Who would be so foolish?
Which is ironic, because that's what I've been paid to do for games, to write them.
Does this count as the no questions part still?
I highly doubt it. A
Oh boy.
Is that
asked
itself a
for
question?
Something more valuable than money. My suspicions.
See, that's the
Can
exchange will be
we
in this game.
not ask questions?
Can I not ask questions? Is that a question? So you could ask questions. That was a statement, not a question. So I will answer it. Yes. But if you answered it, isn't it a question?
What are your
We should return to
expectations?
other matters, like the quest I just gave you.
As the newly appointed
Yeah, it's
surgeon
basically
of this
that.
Hospital, you are in an excellent position to ask innocent questions and deftly learn
Who
the
is
identity
Reed's
of my
voice
blackmailer.
actor? He sounds familiar.
Looking at
If we're dealing with an ordinary criminal, surely you've the means to deal with it yourself, if I may.
As immortal
Oh,
tradition
Dracula. They
doth
got Dracula.
dictate,
Oh, that's cool.
All fangs and hypnotic eyes ablaze.
No, I'm sorry. I was looking at the special vampires only internet that we get access to after returning to the undead.
Violence has a tendency to spiral out of control.
Please continue. Every detail.
Anthony
is
Howell,
essential.
who seems like a pretty regular.
Oh, okay.
Embarrassment in this matter is eclipsed
Yeah,
only by
I cannot
my-
stress this enough. He is
Having
not
put hospital
the
at risk.
Prince of Transylvania, Dracula.
The threat from our anonymous scoundrel is clear. A list
No,
of
he was Bahavas and Derval in Horizon Zero Dawn, which is probably where you know him
I
from.
actually know him from Foyle's War. Where he was also a detective. It's a British television show. I think that's the actor, Anthony Howell.
No, it is.
Yep.
It is.
It's a British detective drama set during World War II, like in Hastings. So like, you know, oh, the war is happening elsewhere, but there's still murders going on that someone has to deal with.
Is it true?
That's kind of like
I
what
was
we're
gonna
doing
say
here.
that sounds
blunt one.
A bit.
yeah. I was gonna say that sounds cool. I mean, it does, but come to think of it, I can't explain why. It's basically just said, yeah, it's a detective show and it's British, and it's set in a time period. I'm like, man, I want to watch that.
By vocation, we also have reason to visit the hospital. Logic dictates.
In all honesty, I'm not simply a patron to the hospital. My visits serve a dual purpose. Dr. Swansea has been
Kind of
treating
lost the
my
thread of
condition
where we are in this
with a
conversation.
revolutionary technique of blood
Okay.
transfusion.
The bottom line is
You're a
that
specialist.
she has been eating the patients.
I'll take care of it.
Right.
Do you know
We figured
where I
that.
should start?
If that was the case, I'd settle the matter
But in an
myself.
ethical way.
You could talk to our local gossip, Harriet Jones. Not a pin drops here without her hearing about it.
I'll meet that woman now.
My life, as others know, is in your hands, Dr. Reed.
So this quest line
I'm
eventually
sure
kicks
at
us
your
off to a
discretion.
skull-infested dungeon of combat, but it also, before it does
Cool.
that, nudges us back towards like,
When this
hey,
is
go
over,
talk to the orderlies
I'll
and
be
some
your
other people
protege.
and get to know the
I'll
people,
answer
and
all
there's,
questions in
you
regards
know,
of
pick up
your
all the hints and stuff.
condition.
Yeah, we'll kind of go through that then, and maybe get to the dungeon by the end of this.